topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Florida. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I have to tell you, this is the second Monday, actually the third Monday of the month. We're in the middle of the month, and that means Provise Management Group. I just want to say something. When you have an expert in money management, it's a little scary because you got to hope and pray that the company that you have on as an expert fulfills the things they tell you. There's a trust factor, educational factor. And we were so lucky to find Provise Management Group because I never felt so comfortable after 16 years of doing this show with an expert like this. Let me welcome you to our favorite. We actually run the show twice a month. Provise Management Group, Ray Ferrara. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Michael, and thank you for those very kind words.
Well, I mean, it's from the heart. You've been with us for about 4 years now, and I never worry about the information you provide, and you have built such an incredible company with Provise Management Group. Tell people about your company.
Mike, the Provise is a financial planning and investment management firm with offices in Tampa and Clearwater, Florida. And we are a financial planning firm first and foremost. Although we are managing about $2 billion on behalf of our 1,100 clients scattered over 30 plus states. And we are anchored in doing the financial planning. Most people think financial planning is a one and done, and it's a continuous process, not a one and done, because this is a very technical term. Stuff happens. And so when that stuff happens, we have to be able to have a flexible plan and adapt to the current environment. And as always, we offer the listeners and watchers of Ask the Expert a 1-hour complimentary consultation in our Clearwater or Tampa office or by Zoom. And it's something we are using more and more, particularly for those that are outside of the Tampa Bay area. So if you'd like to schedule that complimentary 1-hour consultation, give us a call at 727-441-9022. That's 727-441-9022. Just say, I want to schedule that 1-hour complimentary consultation with Ray, and I'll be happy to visit with you.
Yeah, Ray, I got to tell you, we have gotten, since we've started moving the show over the whole state of Florida, we've gotten several calls from South Florida, where I'm at. They know that you're in the Tampa area. They wanted to see if, because they're here in South Florida, if you can still handle their account. I know you can, but I just wanted them to hear it from you.
Well, absolutely we can. As I said, we have clients in over 30 states. So South Florida is easy for us to do business with.
Exactly. Well, gosh, we've got so many questions for you today. Let me start off. Gosh, the Fed's at it again. We're talking about the Feds and a number of different fronts. First, there is the latest cut, which I want you to talk about. And next, when will the interest rates be reduced again? And finally, I got to ask you this, Ray. Who do you think the next chair is going to be?
Now, Stephen, that is a heck of a way to start off a Monday morning with those kinds of questions.
Exactly.
So, as we have constantly
said, I'm not worried about it with you, though, Ray.
Well, as we've said, and as recently as 2 weeks ago, we had indicated that we thought there was a high probability that the Fed would cut one more time before the end of the year. And in fact, they did do that last Wednesday, with the rate now being reduced to 3.5%. And that's an important number because the Fed is looking for that neutral spot, that little sweet spot that they can find. And we're getting closer to that. Probably one more rate cut will be necessary to get to what I would look at as a neutral rate. And then we'll have to see what happens from there. The most recent cut will be extremely helpful to most investors and those that are using credit, whether it's for a mortgage or on their credit cards, as the case may be. It should bring short-term interest rates down. That doesn't guarantee that long-term rates will continue to come down. But as we suggested last January, when interest rates for a mortgage, 30-year mortgage, were at 7%, that they would be lower at the end of this year. We now find ourselves at about 6.2%. And we would not be surprised to see that continue to drift down in 2026, particularly if rates are cut one more time. We might even break the 6% barrier, which psychologically is a big number for many people, particularly those that remember the good old days just a few years ago when 3% was the right number. The data is the problem for the Fed and for all of us that are looking at the investing side. And the reason that it's a problem is we don't have the data. And the data that we do have is either incomplete or suspect, might be a better terminology. And so that's got to get cleaned up. I don't think the data will be cleaned up in time for the meeting in January. And unless something drastic happens between now and then, I just don't see a rate cut at the meeting at the end of the month. 50-50 probability of a rate cut come early March, when the Fed will meet again. So at one of those two meetings, I would anticipate another cut, and I would bet more on March than I would on January. Then the fun begins, because that will be Chairman Powell's last meeting as the chair of the Fed. Someone is going to replace him as the chair at the May meeting, which is going to be quite interesting. The president has kept everybody in suspense over the last 4 to 6 weeks. He had 5 candidates. He had 8 candidates. He went back to 5. He cut it down to a few. Everybody was betting on Kevin Hassett to be the next chair. All of a sudden, over the weekend, another Kevin emerges as a potential candidate when the president said, "Well, I like both Kevins." I suspect that Hassett was the choice, the preferred choice. He does have the president's ear, but there appears to be some internal disagreement about Hassett not being the right person. His interview yesterday on TV, where he said, "I would be an independent chair And I would listen to what the president has to say and convey that message to the committee. But at the end of the day, the committee and the Fed must remain independent. And I suspect that some of that is that answer was related to answering the questions that some people may have posed about Kevin Hassett being too close to the president. I wish the president would get off of his butt and make an announcement so that the world and the markets could begin to digest what that will mean once he picks someone. So at this moment, we don't know who's in or out. But if I were still betting, although the odds have changed a little bit, perhaps I'd still think that Kevin Hassett will end up being the one selected. But the one thing I've learned about Trump in his first 4 years, and certainly in these past 12 months or 11 months, I guess I should say, is you never know where he's going to finally end up. But again, right. My guess is that it would be Kevin Hassett.
Okay. So the House passed this Invest Act. What does that mean for the average investor?
So the Invest Act is a combination of about 20 different bills, all of which are designed to help investors be able to participate more easily and around capital formation. On the capital formation side, this bill would make it easier for smaller companies to become public. There's been a great deal of concern since the 1990s that the number of public companies has diminished, and particularly smaller companies has diminished, and therefore the quote average investor has not been able to take advantage of some of these very profitable and fast growing companies. So the bill is designed to make it easier for those companies to do an IPO or an initial public offering. So that's kind of number one. Number two, it is designed from the investor point of view to allow more people to qualify as being an accredited investor. Right now, you have to have a net worth exclusive of your home of $1 million or combined household income of over $200,000 to be annually to be considered an accredited investor. This bill proposes that the SEC and mandates actually that the SEC will create an exam that you or anyone could take. And if you can pass the exam, then you would be qualified to participate in private equity, private credit, and thus trying to expand the marketplace and the number of people who can participate. So those are just two of the many items that are in the bill. It does have to go to the Senate now. I would be very surprised if it doesn't pass the Senate. It had great bipartisan support, which is unusual in Washington these days, passing overwhelmingly with all Republicans and about 87 Democrats voting in favor of the bill, and then on to the president's desk. So I would think before this Congress adjourns, maybe even for the holidays, that this bill will get passed by the Senate.
You know, here's a sad story, Ray, from Barbara in Tallahassee. I mean, this time of year, it's really sad, but I'm sure you get calls like this a lot. She said, my husband and I are planning to divorce after 12 years of marriage. We love each other. We just can't live together. What is the best way from a financial standpoint for us to end the marriage but remain friends?
Well,
question.
Barbara, I'm very sorry to hear about your impending divorce after 12 years, but sometimes things don't last, and as everyone probably knows, a little over half of all marriages today do in divorce. And so the thing I would suggest that you do is that you and your husband search for and find 2 lawyers who are willing to participate in what is called collaborative divorce. I'm not going to go into all of the details on it, but the idea here is that the 2 of you and each of your lawyers all enter into an agreement to do this in as equitable and as fair a way as you possibly can. You'll also hire a financial professional to be part of the team who has to work at a fiduciary standard of care to carefully make sure that the division of assets are not only fair, but they're equitable. And if all of it fails and it doesn't work for whatever reason, guess what? The lawyers don't get paid. Our experience has been that when divorces are cantankerous as opposed to mediated properly, the only people who win are the lawyers, and they have every interest to drag it on because when they get paid by the hour, the more difficult they make the situation, the more time it's going to take. So look for a couple of lawyers that are experienced in the collaborative divorce process, and that is the best way for 2 people who still have respect for each other and, as you say, love each other, but just can't live together, to part as amicably as you possibly can in these kinds of contentious situations.
I think that's wonderful advice, Ray. Peter in Orlando, how much money do I need to comfortably retire? I make $100,000 now, and I want to retire within the next year, if possible, keeping the same income. I am 63 years old. Any advice?
Peter, so first of all, congratulations on your pending retirement, and looking forward to that next evolution in your life. So let's take a look at when you say I want to keep the same income. What does that mean? Does that mean you want to keep it at $100,000? Well, if you do, that's a more difficult task than if you want to keep it in the amount of spendable income that you have had over the years. As an example, if you're making $100,000, then you're paying approximately 7.5% of that in Social Security and Medicare taxes. So that reduces your spendable income to $92,500, not $100,000. That's what you're actually able to try to spend. Next, if you've been contributing to your retirement plan, say your 401k or some other type of retirement plan, and let's suppose that you've been putting $10,000 a year in, then the amount of pre-tax income that you have been enjoying actually drops down to $82,500. So if we apply the 4% rule, which says you can spend down 4% of whatever your retirement savings are, and you wanted $100,000, simply do the math, and you'd have to have $2.5 million times 4%, and that would give you the $100,000. On the other side of that, however, is if you're looking at the $82,500, you'd have to have just a little bit more than $2 million in order to comfortably live. Now, don't forget, most likely, You also are going to be eligible for Social Security. And if you're a state employee or something like that, then you're going to have a pension. So you need to subtract that out of the equation first. And that could even further reduce the amount that you're going to have to save. For example, let's suppose that you're getting $32,000 from Social Security. That $82,000 now goes down to about $50,000, which would only require you to have about $1.2 million in savings. So best thing you can do, get a financial plan, see a certified financial planner, a CFP professional that has to work with you at a fiduciary standard of care, just as we do at Provise and have been that way since the late 80s. And just want to remind everybody, Stephen, that all of the listeners to Ask an Expert are entitled to a 1-hour complimentary consultation in our office in Clearwater or Tampa, or by Zoom, whatever is most comfortable, even if you're in the Tampa Bay area, to discuss retirement planning, estate planning, investment management, whatever is on your mind. And all you have to do is give us a call at 727-441-9022, 727-441-9022, and just tell them you want to schedule that 1-hour complimentary consultation with Ray, and I'd be happy to visit with you. And if you want to check us out first, go to our website, Provise, Provise.com, Provise.com.
Ray, I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you next year. It's right around the corner, but we'll see you next year.
You will indeed. And next year, the first one, plan to talk about what the year ahead is going to possibly look like. Let me wish all of our listeners a happy holiday season, regardless of what religion you are. Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. Let's have a prosperous and healthy New Year.
Ray, thank you so much. We love you, bro.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.